Hey, yo, it's good, everyone. Twisted here with Open with Sorcery, and today I want to go ahead and talk about the Hawaiian concept of ho'oponopono, which, generally speaking, has to do with energy cleansing through forgiveness. Now, when it comes to ho'oponopono, this is one of a variety of ways that one can go ahead and upkeep their own spiritual hygiene, you can say. If we're going to go ahead and say that you got to wash your ass and clean yourself, the same applies to the various layers of your being and such, energetically and so on. And this is something that Devi got into a while ago in depth in a variety of different ways that one can go ahead and be hygienic, spiritually, energetically speaking. So, if you want to listen to that particular monologue, I'll post a link in the YouTube posting of this, the description of said video. Now, nevertheless, so let's actually get into what ho'oponopono is actually all about. So, as I stated before, it's a Hawaiian concept and practice which emphasizes forgiveness towards others and oneself. Roughly translated in English, it means something along the lines of cause things to move back in balance or to make things right. Now, when it's more so utilized in a sort of, I guess, new agey sort of manner, you could say, or potentially even more along the lines of a native Hawaiian sort of manner. I do not necessarily know, but at least when it comes to how a lot of people who are kind of like extrapolating it from its original, culture and source, it's often used as a mantra to exercise yourself in negativity and bad feelings like anger, hatred, sorrow, grief, and so on. Now, from my understanding that, I'm guessing it means using the phrase ho'oponopono itself, but a lot of times in terms of English, using English words and phrases, there actually happens to be a series of statements that are utilized in a repeated, recurring order. So, that having been said, right, enchanting a series of phrases that are more so positive in nature, and doing them repeatedly with your eyes closed, it serves as a sort of meditation. And in making these positive statements, the vibrational frequencies of each statement helps to cleanse your auric field and the various bodies of your being. So, in using the term bodies, we are more than our physical body, of course. So that means like your mind as well, aka the mental body, or your feelings, your emotions, aka the emotional body. All the different other layers that exist in our, you could say, onion, to use that sort of visualization of things. So in that sort of sense, causal body, etheric body, astral body, your soul, your spirit, so on and so forth. But nevertheless, the particular phrases that are often utilized are ones that you're likely familiar with if you're a native English speaker, being that I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, and repeating that over and over again for as much as you feel is needed or is necessary, and all that sort of thing. Doing so to the point where you more so feel relieved and are able to let go of whatever negativity it may be, whether brought on by others or unto yourself. Or even if you're not necessarily aware of anything, just doing it to go ahead and clean out the energetic muck and yuckiness regardless. But once again, repeating these phrases of I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And if you're going to try to do so using the original Hawaiian native language, then ho'oponopono itself, I think, would probably be sufficient, because the intention is aligned with the phrase itself. Whether that is something that is done natively within the Hawaiian culture or not, I do not know, but, it's kind of just more so intention-based at that point. Nevertheless, so, when it comes to why you'd go ahead and want to not only just forgive yourself, but also forgive others or actions that others have done unto you. There happens to be one of those, self-help inspirational images with a quote that I've remembered throughout the years ever since I first came across it. it just rung out to me as something that stuck with me. And I had mentioned it previously back when having the particular topic of the acronym of WHY, which stands for Who Hurt You, and all of that sort of thing. So that's another monologue. This one done by me, that I can post in the YouTube posting of this particular talk and such in the description section. So, that having been said, the actual quote put there is, a sage was asked, "What is anger?" He gave a beautiful answer. It is punishment we give to ourselves for someone else's mistake. So in that sort of manner and framework, if you're going ahead and you're feeling angry at somebody, you are allowing those negative emotions to arise, to bubble up, to gestate, to grow and fester based on a action that someone else took upon you. And that is up to you whether to say, you know what, I'm going to let it continually build, whether you feel justified or not, or whatever the case may be, or, you know, whether you have more so of a clear state of mind, or you're just completely chaotic, or just like, you know, lost within your emotions in a irrational manner. And by irrational, I mean like more so along the lines of like, you know, and maybe it doesn't necessarily come with such justification. Or if it is, you know, whatever it may be. I'm kind of going ahead a little bit too much on detour, but I digress. Bottom line being, if you have that anger bubbling up inside you because of someone else's actions or whatever, or even your own, you could say, you could be angry at yourself, or whatever other negative emotion it may be, then you can go ahead and relieve said punishment that you're doing unto yourself. If you want to unburden yourself of that negativity and allow yourself to feel more so lighter and more so refreshed and relaxed, and more so in terms of using new agey terminology, high vibe, man. I know I'm doing that sounding like a sarcastic asshole, but hey, you know what? There is truth to it, but at the same time, it's just one of those stereotypical things that I just find overused and often, you know, amongst people associated with that label. Nevertheless, so when you go ahead and you release this energy from using "I'm sorry," "please forgive me," "thank you," "I love you," or just any other sort of practice or statements or whatever it may tend to be. Even if you're doing some sort of other energy work that's more so intensive of a sensory nature, or what else you know, you could think of, like, you know, since I mentioned the whole spiritual hygiene sort of talk at the beginning, like actually going and taking a damn shower can go ahead and help you release that energetic muck and all that. But nevertheless, when you go ahead and you utilize these phrases, right, it allows for you to go ahead and affect you in a beneficial way that actually affects your inner being. Not just like you could say in a woo-woo sort of like vibrational energy sort of way, but in an actual observable manner. And this is where I'm going to go ahead and be able to reference the experiments done by Masaru Emoto, a doctor who went ahead and, in the 90s approximately, did experiments with water crystals that actually observed the crystalline structure of water as they were exposed to different phrases and words in a variety of capacities. This is something that I brought up quite a while ago, actually, in the chronology of the Open Earth Sorcery, back when we talked about the metaphysics of water. And in that conversation that was had with Devi, pretty much that right there was amidst a variety of things. It was just trying to showcase the overall properties and characteristics and usefulness of water itself. And once again, as per the other topics that have been covered previously, I will post a link to that in the description. So, actually getting into the experiments now, right? Pretty much in, you know, summary, you can find tons of different documentaries and books, either talking about Mr. Emoto's experiments or have written by him himself. But the water samples were exposed to written words that are positively charged, like love, gratitude, or thank you, while some are given negatively charged ones like hate, stupid, or you fool, in more so of like a derogatory way. Now, there were also some jars that were left alone as a sense of a control aspect in the scientific method and running experiments and such, just to see, alright, what would it look like without any sort of interference or any sort of effect being done on it. But nevertheless, the vibrations associated with each word or phrase, whether positive or negative, affected the water's crystalline structure. The crystals in general looked more harmonious when near the positive statements and more dissonant near the negative ones. And not only just in terms of the written words being placed near or on jars or glasses of water, but also things that are spoken aloud. So Masaru Emoto himself going ahead and saying, like, I love you or thank you to a jar or glass of water, and then saying other things like, I hate you, or you're stupid, or you fool, to another one, and such. And the vibrations associated with each word or phrase, it affected the crystalline structure, as I already mentioned. And pretty much like, when you go ahead and the way that it was seen was under a microscope, a very intensely focused microscope, that was able to go ahead and take pictures, had a camera capacity associated with it, and then able to be, processed and then blown up to be able to be observed. So you could say that, like, just based on some of the documentaries I've seen, or the clips that I've seen from documentaries, because it was a while ago, I saw more so longer length ones, but pretty much it was that you could see, like, a six-pointed water crystal, as opposed to one being more dissonant when exposed to negative stuff, being more so in disarray and not necessarily as symmetrical or as uniform in nature. And the thing about it is that, not only was it just statements being said aloud, but it was also like types of music even, trying to more so advocate that, like, pieces such as Beethoven's symphonies, I forget exactly which ones, or pieces by Bach or Mozart and all of that, were more effective, positively speaking, on creating harmonious crystalline structures within the water, as opposed to, say, heavy metal, going ahead and being more so dissonant and making the water crystals be in disarray, right? But I digress. So how does that go ahead and affect us, right? So yes, water is a part of our environment, and we drink water, but we as humans are comprised of approximately 70% water, if you remember that fact from science class. And in that sort of regard, if we are exposed to positive statements from others or even from ourselves through writing or chanting of a mantra such as Ho'oponopono or the English statements that are associated with this concept, then we can go ahead and make beneficial changes unto our own overall health and being. And likewise, if we are overly exposed to negative statements and phrases, that can go ahead and change our own water's crystalline structure and being in a negative sort of way, a detrimental sort of way, and all of that. And of course, just since we're on topic, right, this is something that, can be observed or understood in the application of attention to water. Say, like, if you're leaving out a jar of water during the full moon and going ahead and making what's called moon water, so that way it's charged with whatever particular zodiacal sign traits and qualities are aligned with whatever sign the moon is in at that point. And that is another thing that was broached by Devi previously that I can go ahead and put in the link in the description too. But having said all that, right, let's go ahead and tie this up in a neat little bow, or as neat as I can try to put it right now. Ho'oponopono. going ahead and allowing for energetic cleansing through forgiveness, and using the phrases of "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you," or in just going along with the philosophy itself, you can use other positively charged or, forgiving phrases that are better for you or are more so genuine wording for however you speak. And that can be one way, repeating like a mantra, that you can go ahead and help yourself become more so improved and help get a better mindset and an overall manner of being in health, with your physical body, mentally speaking, emotionally, and so on and so forth. But I'll go ahead and quit riffing for now. This has been Twisted with the Open Sorcery, and stay frosty, Neguses. Peace.